Welcome back to GS with RV. In this video, we are going to discuss about tribes, nomads, and settled communities. In previous chapter, we have studied about how the kingdoms rose and fell, and also we studied how the important towns established and flourished because of arts, temples, and their administration. In this chapter, we will study about the tribes and nomads. In India, from the historical times, our society was already divided into the rules of Varna system. The Varna system were actually prescribed by the Brahmins, and as the Brahmins prescribed these rules, these were accepted by the rulers of large kingdoms. Because of the Varna system, the difference between the high and low and the rich and poor increased and and under the various rulers this varna system increased and the difference between the social classes grew with the time. But the important thing here is that among there were several people, so there were a group of peoples who did not follow the social rules and the rituals which were prescribed by Brahmins. Also, they were never divided into numerous unequal classes, and such societies were are known as tribes. So tribes are the tribal peoples are actually those who never they are not bound by the Varna system. Have they have never followed the Varna system prescribed by Brahmins. They have their own rules, they have their own understanding, and such people are known as tribal peoples. The source of livelihood for the tribal peoples were agriculture, basically agriculture. Also, they used to harness the natural resource where in the area in which they lived. This was the unique thing. They rely on the natural resources. Some of the tribes were nomadic, and the nomadic are those who move from one place to other. A tribal group control Some of the tribal group can also control the land and pastures jointly. In India, the many large tribes thrived in different parts of our country. They usually used to live in forests, hills, deserts, and places which are really difficult to reach. There were also some clash between the tribal people and the high class people sometimes, and this is because of the dependence and the their diverse needs. So actually the main question among us is that who were actually the tribal people? Actually, the historians and travelers have not given so much information about the tribal people. They have given the less information about the tribes. There are very few exceptions apart. Tribal people never keep written records, but they preserve the rich customs and oral traditions. These were passed from one generation to the next generation. But with the time, the present historians have started using the oral tradition to write about the tribals, and the tribal histories came into picture. As I discussed, that tribal people were found in almost every region of India. The area and influence of tribal people or the tribes varied in different regions. For example, there were also some powerful tribes in different territories. For example, in Punjab, there were the Khokhar tribe, which was very influential during the 13th and 14th century. After the Khokhar in Punjab, the Gakhars became more important, and they were so important that the Emperor Akbar had given Kamal Khan Gakhar a position. Akbar gave Kamal Khan Gakhar a position of Mansabdar or noble. Similarly, in Multan and Sindh, there were Langas and Arghuns tribes. They dominated the region, and also in the northwest of our country, of our subcontinent, there were the Baloch tribes prevailed during that. We can visualize the location of the different tribes in our country. We can see here that Gakhars, Khokars are in the prevailed in Punjab. In Baloch is in the northwestern part of country. Ahoms in the northeast, which we will discuss in our later chapters. like Punjab and northwest part of our Indian subcontinent, in the Maharashtra highland and Karnataka, these were the home of the Kolis tribes. Kolis tribes. And in Karnataka there were Berats. 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 Kolis also lived in many areas of Gujarat. So Kolis tribes were existing in Maharashtra and Gujarat. After this, in the south, there were large tribal population of Koragas, Vetars, and Marwar, Marwars, and many others. The one of the important tribe was Wheels, Wheel which is existing in at present time also. Wheels were spread across the western and central India. By the late 16th century, many of them had become settled as agriculturists, and also some of them became jamindar. This is the important point. And among the Wheel, many Wheel clans nevertheless remained hunter gatherers. Wheels used to remain hunter gatherers, and the Gonds were found in great numbers across the present day state of Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, and Andhra Pradesh. Now, the next question is how the nomadic people lived and how they survived during that time. The nomadic pastoralists moved over long distances with their animals. Actually, they what they used to do, they used to move from one place to other with their products. They actually used to live on milk and other pastoral products. And what they used to do, they actually exchange their products on their way with wool, ghee, grains, with the settled agricultures, and they used to feed themselves like this. They also used to bought and sold the goods which they received during exchange or the goods which they had with themselves from one place to other and transporting them on their animals. They also used to transport the goods on their animals. The Banjaras were the most important trader nomads. Banjaras were the trader nomads, and their karwa was called Tanda. Tanda, and the Sultan Alauddin Khilji used the Banjaras. It is said that Khilji used the Banjaras to transport their grains to the city markets because they used to transport the goods on the animals. Also, Emperor Jahangir has written in his book that the Banjaras carried grain on their bullocks from different areas and sold it in towns. The Banjaras transported food grains for the Mughal army during military campaign. With a large army, there could be 1 lakh bullocks carrying the grains. As the economy changes and the need of the society grew, the people with new skills were required. So, the smaller castes or jatis emerged within the varnas. This was the thing which created in later time period. For example, new caste appeared among the Brahmins. And also, on the other hand, many tribes and social groups were taken into caste-based society, and they were given the status of jatis. Specialized artisans, smiths like carpenters and masons, they were also kept under the category of jatis and by the Brahmins. So jatis rather than varna became the basis for organizing society. So we can see how the varna system revolutionized into a jati system which is prevailing into our Indian society at present. Also among the Rajputs, also among the Kshatriyas, the new Rajput clans became powerful by the 11th and 12th centuries. They belonged to different lineages such as Hunas, Chandela, Chalukya, and others. Some of them had been also tribes earlier. Many of these clans to be regarded as Rajputs. So, Kshatriya involved into different clans under the heads of Hunas, Chandelas, Chalukyas. So, we can see the developed society was emerging, and rulers used their wealth to create a powerful states. So, the rise of Rajput clans to the position of rulers set an example for the tribal people to follow. Gradually, with the time, with the support of Brahmins, many tribes became part of the caste system. So we can see how the Brahmins first created a gap, but later on with the time they also supported the tribal families so that they could join the caste system and eventually joined the ruling class. A large majority joined the lower jatis of the caste system. On the other hand, many dominant tribes of Punjab, Sindh, and northwest frontier had adopted Islam quite early. So the tribes of Punjab, Sindh, and northwest frontier, they adopted Islam very early. This is important, and they used to reject the caste system. The Islam used to create the caste system. This the this unequal social order, the prescribed by Orthodox Hinduism, was not widely accepted in these areas. This is the point to note that in the area of Punjab, Sindh, and northwest frontier, they never accepted this inequality. They believed in the Islam, they adopted Islam, and they used to say that they are not going to believe the old practice of the Hinduism. So, with the two examples, we will now understand how how the emergence of state is closely related to our social and society, which change amongst the tribal people. First, we discuss about the Gonds. The Gonds are tribes who lived in a vast forested region called Gondwana. Gondwana is a vast forested region where the Gonds lived. So their name came from the that particular area. Or we can say a country which is inhabited by Gonds. They practiced shifting cultivation. And what is the shifting cultivation? It is actually in this cultivation, kind of cultivation, the trees and bushes in a forest area of the that surrounding are first cut and then that is burnt. The crop is shown in the ashes, and when this land loses its fertility, another plot of land is cleared and planted in the same way, and the people from that location move to the other location and again does the same practice. So this kind of cultivation is known as shifting cultivation. The large Gond tribe were further divided into many smaller clans. Each clans had its own Raja, and with the time, the power of the Delhi Sultan, as with the time, the power of the Delhi Sultan were declining. A few large Gond kingdom also started to dominate the smaller Gond chiefs. In the Akbar Nama, the history of Akbar's reign, it mentioned that the Gond kingdom of Garha Katanga that had 70,000 villages. So we can see that the Gond kingdom, which was Garha Katang, that had 70,000 villages. The also it was evident that the administrative system of these kingdoms were becoming centralized. Centralized, that means that has to be ruled by a chieftains or a ruler from the center. And the kingdom was divided into Gar, and the Gar was controlled by a particular Gond clan. This was further divided into the units of 84 villages. 84 villages, which is called Chaurasi. Chaurasi. The Chaurasi was again subdivided into Barhuts. Barhuts is actually uh, made up of 12 villages each. So we can see that the kingdom was first divided into Gard, and then Gard was controlled by the particular Gond clan, and again it is further divided into the units of 84 villages, which used to be known as Chaurasi, and again Chaurasi was divided into Barhos, which were used to be a group of 12 villages. Now the emergence of large states changed the nature of Gond society. As we saw that there were 70,000 villages in a Gond kingdom. So they're basically equal society got divided into unequal social classes. Brahmins also received that time land grants from the Gond Rajas, and they became more influential. Now the with the time the Gond chiefs wished to be recognized as Rajputs. So one of the fellow Amandas, the Gond Raja of Gadakatanga, which was you said to be the group of 70,000 villages, assumed the title of Sangramsa. This is a this has historic significance. The Amandas, who used to be a Gond Rajput, he assumed the title of Sangramsa, and his son Dalpat married the princess Durgavati, who was the daughter of Salbahan, the Chandel Rajput Raja of Mahoba. So Amandas, the Gond Raja, assumed the title of Sangramsa, and his son Dalpat married the princess Durgavati, who was the daughter of Salbahan, who was the from the Chandel Rajput Raja of Mahoba. In the time the Dalpat died early, and it is very famous in the history that Rani Durgavati, who was very capable, and she started ruling on behalf of her 5-year-old son Bir Narayan, and under her kingdom, the under her also the kingdom started to flourish, became more extensive. But in 1565, under the Mughal forces led by Asaf Khan, who attacked the Garha Katang, and the strong resistance was put up by Rani Durgavati, which is very popular in history. And but the sea was defeated though, but she protected the Garha Katang very bravely. She was defeated and she preferred to die rather than surrender. So if we have to give the account of Garha Katang was a rich state. It it earned much wealth by trapping and exporting wild elephants to other kingdoms. So their main source of income was the trade of the elephants, and they used to export the elephants to the other kingdoms. When the Mughal defeated the Gonds, they captured the huge booty of precious coins and elephants, and they also annexed a part of kingdom and granted the rest to Chandrasa, who was an uncle of Bir Narayan. Now the next is the Ahoms. The Ahoms are again important tribes. They migrated to the Brahmaputra Valley from the present day Myanmar. They used to stay in Myanmar, but they moved to Brahmaputra Valley in our country in the 13th century. They created a new state by suppressing the old political systems of Bhuyans who are actually landlords. During the 16th century, they also annexed the kingdom of Chutias and of Kochajo, and they subjugated many other tribes. The important thing of Ahom was that they built a large state, and for this they used firearms and early as in 1530s. By the 1660s, they could even started making the high quality gunpowder and cannons. This is the special thing about the Ahoms, that they were the one who started making the high quality gunpowder and cannons, and it is said that the British used to take these cannons and gunpowder from them. However, the Ahoms faced many invasions from the southwest. In 1662, the Mughals under Mir Jumla attacked the Ahom kingdom. Despite their brave defense, the Ahoms gradual the Ahoms were defeated, and the direct Mughal control over the region started. The home state depended upon the force levers. The important thing was the home was the region. In fact, the home migrated in the Brahmaputra Valley, and the state was fully dependent upon the forced labor. Those forced to work for the state were called pikes. So those people who were forced to work for the state, or we can say forced laborers, are called pikes. A census of the population was taken, and the east village had to send a number of pikes by rotation. This was the system started that time. People from the heavily populated area were used to shifted to less populated areas. You can see in this map that Ahom were residing in this area. This is Sutiyas, this is Jafla Hills, Naga tribes. Ahom's clans were thus broken up with the time. But by the first half of the 17th century, the administration became quite centralized. Amo- Almost all the adult males served in the army during war because the Englishmen uh, used to ask for the people or for ask for the pikes who were actually forced labor, and they used to force the people or the pikes to work for them. They were actually engaged in building dams, irrigations systems, and other public works. The important thing here is that the Ahoms also introduced a new method of rice cultivations. The Ahom society with the time was divided into clans, which was also known as khels. In the Ahom tribe, there were very few castes of artisans. So we can say that in the Ahom areas, artisans came from the adjoining kingdoms. They don't have their own people as artisans. The clan, which is also known as Khel, they also controlled, or most of the time controlled, several villages. The peasant was given the land by his village community. Also, the king never take it away without the community's consent. If we talk about the Ahom's religious faith, they used to worship their own tribal gods during the first half of the 17th century. However, because of the Brahmins' influence, the temples were granted land by the king. In the ruler of Sib Singh, the Hinduism became the predominant religion. But the Ahoms never gave up their traditional beliefs and after adopting the if we take about the account of the Ahom society, the society of Ahom tribes were quite sophisticated. The poets in their society, the poets and scholars were given land grants. In the Ahom society, the theatres were also encouraged. The important works of Sanskrit were also flourished during the Ahom in the Ahom society. The important works of Sanskrit, which was also translated into local languages. Historical works such as Buranjis were also written first in the Ahom language, then later it was translated into Assamese. Now, if you have to conclude the whole the considerable social change took place in the subcontinent India during the period we have seen. The starting from the Varna based society and the tribal people, they interacted with each other constantly. But with the time, the Varna system fused into the Jati system, and there were many different tribes. They took up the diverse livelihoods. Over the period of time, many of them merged with the caste based society. Others, however, rejected both the caste systems and orthodox Hinduisms. Some tribes also established the larger kingdoms and they flourished in the subcontinent. So, this chapter concludes here. Thank you for listening. Thanks again.